with Dr. James Jason Murray, aerospace engineer, inventor, and the list goes on. Take you back to St. John's College again. You're getting ready.
Alma mater.
You knew
Okay.
you were going to be a science man. Right? You just were trying to see where it was going to take you, but you knew that was the path.
I knew those areas, science, and particularly at a high school level, secondary school level. That's what you're schooled in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get the mathematics, you get the history, you get the geography, and all of that, which is a really good foundation, and then you get the physics, the chemistry, and the biology. Okay.
So you graduate from St. John's College, and I have to say St. John's College, or some people out there will get very angry at me. Class of '88, I'm class of '79.
Go Giants.
You got it. Then you go from St. John's to
well, it's now the University of the Bahamas.
College of the Bahamas.
At the time, it was the College of the Bahamas, and that was the right, at 16 years of age, that was the right transition point into the adult world, into the higher academic world, and the College of the Bahamas, doing the associate degree, was that right transition point. So I went there with a great deal of my friends. So we were the St. John's, we met with the Queen's College guys, the Government High, and the Aquinas, and the St. Augustine's College groups, and so we get everybody mixed together. Those who didn't go away immediately.
Yeah, and then from there you went to.
So well, of course, I also did my A levels by myself. Okay, in addition to the associate degree.
You don't need
Well,
too much coaching.
I knew what I needed to do, and of course, once where you want to know, where you want to go.
You do what you got to do to get there.
You need help to map out the road to that. Okay, and then it's just a question of making that journey. Gas station to gas station. Along that journey, and I wanted to do aerospace engineering, the flying. Okay, I was already learning to fly at that time. But I wanted to do aerospace engineering because it felt like the best combination of all of the various disciplines that were of interest to me in making rockets and making aircraft and making engines. And so I had a choice between the United States and Europe meant the English-speaking Europe, which was the United Kingdom. And I decided, well, let me go a little bit farther afield. And I went to the University of Bristol. Okay, in England, yes, and I enjoyed that. And not only did I do the engineering degree, in my second year we had an international competition, and so this is where Aspire came out of. We built a supersonic rocket. Okay, I got 4 universities together, and this is in our spare time using university resources, of course. We went to France that summer of 1992 and launched this rocket.
Wow.
And yes, that was great fun. And then just carried on. And I did what was so Europe had this exchange program as well called Erasmus, and that allowed me to go to a different university somewhere else in Europe, and I chose Spain.
Okay.
So I did a year in Spain. I learned Spanish.
Hey, that's great. I did some time in Spain too, and I know how fun. I mean, I'm sure I didn't do the kind of things you did, but it was a wonderful time.
But I had to learn technical Spanish. Okay, okay. As it's just not conversational. You had to study in it, and you had to take exams in it, and that was very eye-opening.
Okay, great.
Great challenge.
Yeah. Now, what's your? I know you said you have some projects that are coming up that I know you can't really discuss them. But what would you like to see accomplished in your industries, because you have so many, as time moves on? What would you like to see happen?
I think there are 2 big disruptions, and that I think I'm going to be a part of. There's a lot of other disruptions that are going to be happening in the industry. And when we talk about disruptions, these are big changes in the way we do things, industrially or physically. One, carrying along the career path that I started pursuing from a very early age. And I say this in my LinkedIn, I want to be an instrument of mankind, humankind's transition into the cosmos, where we become a cosmic species. And I think us getting aircraft like 747, get on an airplane and go anywhere else you want in the world in the span of 24 hours. Okay, we can easily contemplate in a couple of decades' time you doing the same thing. Well, you know, I've got a meeting on the moon in 4 days' time. Okay, I need to book my ticket and get there, and that'll be the psyche. There's an opportunity for mining or resource extraction on Mars. So just like I would contemplate going, you know, to the oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, outside of Texas, or in the North Sea, or over to Saudi Arabia, for example, I could consider doing a similar placement, 6 months or 6 years on Mars, and I think that will happen in my lifetime. So that's one area.
We're not that far away.
We're not that far away from that. I think as soon as we get to the point of economical, frequent access to orbit, everywhere else in the solar system, even the galaxy, is going to be like that.
The cost is even greater than the technological requirements.
We, from a technological perspective, have always operated on the ragged edge of the technology. That's why it's complicated. That's why it's expensive. That's why it's pretty unreliable, up to now. But I think there's a new initiative, and it's been backed by a great deal of money. I don't say a good deal of money. There's a lot of money going into it right now, which is making that transition from the uncertainty or the unpredictability of the technology into something a little bit more certain, a little bit more reliable. And once we get there, I think the costs are going to drop significantly. So that's one area, transportation. The transportation that unconfines us from the surface of the Earth. Okay, number one. And I think number two is we are going to augment our productivity, not just from a data processing point of view, this is where the AI is coming in, but from our ability to manipulate matter. And what I mean by that is we will be building robots that build bridges. We will be building robots that build infrastructure, roads, lay pipes, put together buildings and houses. And I think there's still going to be a human element in the design.
You still require the creativity.
Well, it's interesting. We always look at it. Is it them or us? I think we are a technological species, and what we do is we augment our capabilities with technology. And so I see us evolving into a symbiosis where we will have artificially intelligent machines that work with us, and they become part of our civilization. It doesn't have to be a them or us. I think this is the natural transition that we will create this ecosystem where we rely on them and they rely on us. I think that's the way, that should be the way to approach it. Just like we rely on our machines nowadays. I don't think we could exist without our boats, without our cars, without our electricity, without our piped water. It'd be a very different, very basic life. And so we are very much symbiotic with our technology.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good way of putting it.
Okay. I think that's the reasonable way to go about it. It doesn't have to be adversarial.
Now, all of this talent and knowledge, you're giving it to, you're paying it forward, as they say. How often do you get to talk to young scientists in schools and universities? People who were once where you were.
Not as often.
Who are where you
Yes,
were.
well, not in terms of the young scientists or the young engineers in the schools, not as often as I would like, and I probably make some efforts as I get older to try and pass on some of the experience and the knowledge that I've gained. Just as a point, every time I do come to Nassau, through friends or mutual acquaintances, they will say, "Oh, you must come talk to our school." And so I do that. Drop of a hat, I'll go, and I've been to a couple of schools the past couple of months, just talking about rockets, doing demonstrations.
And what's their reaction? They must be very excited.
In terms of enthusiastic, it's even gotten to the point that a couple of students will come up to me at the end and say, I would love some advice on what career to choose. So I say, well, yeah, send me an email, send me your questions, and I'll answer them. And I'll help to guide you as best as possible.
How many other Bahamians are doing similar things to you? And I mean, more specifically in your area that you know of?
I don't know. I probably, maybe you count them on a hand, because I'm sure there are. Okay.
That you start your own little union or cartel.
Well, what I do know,
scientists.
and when you travel the world, you get to see how the different cultures interact and what's special about them. And I remember always taking away a certain understanding of what is strong in the Bahamian culture. And I think one of the things that is very powerful is our absolute reverence for education. It's very strong culturally, and you can see it in the caliber of the students that we send out there into the world. And I've seen it, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud that that's part of my culture as well. So I think that's a tremendous strength of this country and these islands. And I think in recognizing that, I think we have an opportunity to even reinforce and make that even better than it is.
You know, I usually give the last couple of minutes to my guests to say something I didn't ask them, whatever they want to say that they think people should know. And what else that we haven't covered do you think people should know?
Oh, shoot. Put me on the spot. There's so many things to talk about. It's very, very difficult
List them very quickly.
Oh, shoot.
I think the priority, I guess.
No, well, one person asked me once upon a time, you know, what should I do to pursue a career in engineering or in creativity? You know, where's the spark? You know, what do I have to do? And I think this is a lesson not just for engineering, but even for life itself. Always be inquisitive. Always ask questions. Never take anything for granted or assume.
And I'm only going to stop you there for a bit because 2 generations ago, you weren't supposed to ask anything, you were just supposed to accept.
Yeah.
But it's changed very quickly.
Well, and that's part of our evolution in our culture and in our species as well. Okay, we do go through cycles. And sometimes we tend to think that, you know, we're in a bad part of the cycle right now, but it's that stress. You know, it's like a loose or flaccid rubber band doesn't do any work. Okay, but if I stretch that rubber band, it comes under a little bit of stress. Okay, all of a sudden there's going to be a point where it springs back and propels you somewhere else. Okay, so societies need to be tested. They need to go through these cycles. We as humans, we're kind of very susceptible to complacency. Okay, I read this book once by this psychologist, is a Spanish psychologist, and you know, they were talking about the strengths and the advantages and disadvantages of different cultures. You know, which culture is superior? And that's the wrong question to ask. Cultures are fragile. Our values are fragile. And if you allow complacency to set in, things will leach away, they will drift away. And they'll drift away from the point at which you are comfortable or which you believe morally you need to hold on to. And so you always need to be vigilant, and the fight is always there. You need to defend your culture, you need to defend your morals, because that's the only way you're going to maintain them. They don't maintain themselves. There's no natural tendency to that.
That is absolute excellent advice. Dr. Jason Murray, thank you so much. I'm glad we finally got to meet, and
likewise,
glad you were on the show.
Glad to be here.
And we look forward to keeping in touch with you, okay?
That would be great.
Great. And we thank you for tuning in. See you next time on Reid Between the Lines.